Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Guthrie. Thank you for being here. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management. And before any of our friends and colleagues back in Tallahassee talk about my dress, yes, it was very hard for me to get dressed this morning and wear these colors. So, but it's an honor of the partnership that we have with the University of Florida in this first ever nationwide, first of its kind rollout. So I'm excited to have you join us today as we get ready to introduce Project Beacon to you. Under the leadership of Governor DeSantis and the Division of Emergency Management, Florida continues to lead the nation in emergency management. We strive to be the best in everything we do. We truly want to be a leader in the industry, including our messaging on preparing for, responding to, recovering from, and mitigating from natural and man-made hazards throughout our state. We take the lessons learned and turn them into actionable steps to continue moving Florida forward. Project Beacon comes from that, a lesson learned during challenging times. Beacon, or the Broadcast Emergency Alerting and Communications Operation Network, rooted in Florida's Public Radio Emergency Network, is a state of Florida nationwide first that leverages the technology to expand public safety messaging statewide. Maybe that was fortuitous to say nationwide. The site here at WUFT FM is the first of many to come that will provide a 24/7, 365 text-to-speech platform that automates the broadcasting of critical information before, during, and after a disaster. When a storm or other disaster strikes, power and cell phone tower outages can cause interruptions in a community's ability to receive critical safety information. Beacon combines new technology with the reliability and power of broadcast radio to deliver messages directly to the communities that need them the most through AM radio, FM HD channels, and the Beacon mobile app. With this new technology, we can send specific messages from the state, local, or federal directly to impacted communities using radio's reliable and resilient connection on a dedicated channel that is always on. Safety messages will be automatically uploaded from real-time alerts issued by the National Weather Service, IPAWS, or the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, as well as updates from FDEM, local and county emergency management officials, and other federal organizations. This text-to-speech conversion will deliver updates in both English and Spanish, with plans to add Haitian Creole and other languages as we continue to expand the Beacon footprint. Beacon's safety first, always-on philosophy will ensure that we are reaching Floridians and visitors not only when they need it most, but also with helpful resources year-round. During Hurricane Helene and Milton's landfall, Beacon was stress-tested extensively to ensure it was ready for a live audience, and over 4,000 messages were successfully input into the system and converted to on-the-air radio broadcast messaging. When we are not in disaster mode, Beacon will be the platform for residents to hear about relevant recovery resources and preparedness information and much more. Before we hear from some of the other distinguished guests here this morning who have helped us develop this incredible system, I want to take a moment right now and let you hear what the broadcast sounded like during Hurricane Milton.
You're tuned to Beacon, Florida's only around-the-clock emergency preparedness source. Beacon, safety first, always on.
Attention residents of Sarasota County. Hurricane Milton is in the process of making landfall, and Sarasota County is in the direct path of this dangerous hurricane. Shelter in place and stay tuned to Beacon for the latest updates from county, state, and federal agencies.
Atención residentes del condado de Sarasota. El huracán Milton está en el proceso de tocar tierra y el condado de Sarasota está en el trayecto para un impacto directo de este peligroso huracán. Refúgiate donde te encuentres y manténgase sintonizado a Beacon para recibir las últimas actualizaciones de las agencias del condado, estatales y federales.
Bridges to North and South Hutchinson Island will close at 8 p.m. tonight. Access will be limited to first responders and residents facing emergencies, provided law enforcement deems it safe. If you are not a resident of North and South Hutchinson Island, you will not be allowed to cross these bridges until the winds subside.
Florida Division of Emergency Management is telling residents it's their last chance to evacuate in response to Hurricane Milton. There are 155 shelters open statewide, including 7 state-operated facilities. A full list of shelters is available at floridadisaster.org/shelters.
This is Beacon, your 24/7 source for critical safety information. When emergencies strike, we're always on. Beacon.
So we're really excited about this. It cuts down time to get a message out. So as soon as that message comes out from an RSS feed or iPause, that goes straight to the airwaves. And we are really excited about that technology and that capability to get instant messaging out on the airwaves. And I guarantee you, sometime over the next decades, that we will save lives. We could not do this without our partners, and there's a host of partners that I'm going to introduce today. But the first and foremost, this was, as Craig and I were talking in the hallway over here, this actually started with President Fox at the University of Florida. And President Fox, I want to invite you to come and share your information with us and let us know maybe a little bit of the history.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. In the 1850s, Joseph Henry, the very first secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, started to use then new technology, the telegraph, to gather weather data from around the country. And he used that data to create daily national weather maps. Now, Mr. Henry's extraordinary vision from the 1850s laid the foundation for the weather forecasts that we rely on so much today to plan everything from space missions to family picnics and to help protect hundreds of millions of people around the world from devastating storms. Today, we celebrate the launch of another significant advance in using science and technology to raise the bar for safety and quality of life. Instead of the telegraph, this advance, known as Beacon, uses artificial intelligence, and I'm pleased to say that its inception did begin right here at the University of Florida. As one of our nation's leading research institutions, that's precisely what we should be doing. The University of Florida has long been a leader in the creation of new innovations and tools to better life for millions of people. And furthermore, the university is enjoying additional stature as a national leader in artificial intelligence across the university. That commitment dovetails wonderfully with the work here at WUFT and the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network. This proven public service model has served Floridians for more than 10 years and is widely recognized as an innovative industry-leading initiative. With the incorporation of artificial intelligence, Beacon is the natural progression of WUFT's public service model and is really a powerful testament to the nation's and universities and the station's commitments to public service and safety. I want to congratulate everyone that's been involved in this development and particularly the past 10 years of success. Thank you all. Congratulations.
Right, up next, and this is where the operation, I believe, is running out of, and that is UF College of Journalism and Communications Dean Brown.
Good morning, everyone. And first, welcome to the College of Journalism and Communications, home to North Central Florida's local public media stations and the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network, or FPREN. I'm thrilled that you could all join us to celebrate the launch of Beacon. The University of Florida has been a trailblazer in the broadcast industry since WRUF Radio first went on the air in 1928, and then expanding to public media stations WUFT FM and WUFT TV. And in a region where timely weather information can be life-saving, public safety became a vital part of the mission of these stations. We advanced our public safety capabilities in 2013 with the launch of FPREN, the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network, leading a collaboration of all public television and radio stations in Florida, which we later expanded to include South Carolina, to provide year-round public safety and disaster information impacting millions of residents. We've been working closely with the Florida Division of Emergency Management and county-level public safety agencies for years to improve the ability for emergency messaging to get directly to the public. In 2019, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting recognized WUFT and FPREN with their Community Lifeline Award, which has only been given to a station twice in the history of CPB. Beacon is the natural extension of WUFT and FPREN's work in creating bridges between emergency management safety agencies and the public. The data generated will also provide a valuable resource for our researchers studying effective communication strategies about public safety issues. The combination of state-of-the-art broadcast infrastructure, established relationships with FDEM and county-level agencies, and the invention like the AI-driven Beacon service made our college the ideal place to grow an incredible public safety program. I am grateful to the leaders of our Division of Media Properties who conceived of this service and excited about our continued partnership with FDEM and Futuri Media. Thank you all for being here.
Now, the science behind how it happens, I'm pleased to introduce CEO of Futuri, Daniel Ansterdig.
Thank you very much. And thank you also to all of our emergency managers and our friends from FEMA who have done so much this year to support disaster survivors. Today, we're witnessing what is possible when the best innovators in the private sector join forces with public safety agencies all across America. Over the past year, Futuri has been working closely with Randy Wright at the University of Florida and FDEM, working with truly the brightest minds in academia and emergency management to solve one of our most critical challenges in our country today. During disasters, vital communications are often lost, and we take a vital lifeline away from millions of people when we don't have communication present. Sadly, we saw this happen over the summer when Helene slammed states across the East Coast. All of us saw harrowing images of the damage, and at the same time, we saw another tragedy unfolding too. Loved ones desperately trying to locate each other and find out what to do after losing cell phone and internet service for days on end. But in their most desperate time of need, not only has emergency management been there, but the time-tested reliability of broadcast television and radio stayed on, providing thousands of families with a way to reconnect with loved ones and link up with vital recovery services. What makes Beacon so unique is that we've engineered a way to marry the reliability of broadcast with the immense power of artificial intelligence and the life-saving information and efforts of emergency management. Beacon works by pulling together official public safety information from trusted government sources. It automatically categorizes it based on urgency and then delivers it in real time to any broadcaster and direct to the public through broadcast signals and the Beacon mobile app. Most importantly, no one is left behind because Beacon can do this in multiple languages, while all at the same time hyper-targeting the information to make it relevant at a local level. As CEO of a company that works with thousands of broadcasters from around the world, including every major broadcaster in America, I'm very well aware of the changes that are happening in the broadcast media landscape today. Newsroom budgets are shrinking, journalists are being asked to cover more territory with less resources, and some newsrooms, particularly in rural areas, are shutting down altogether. So now, with Beacon, broadcasters and media outlets everywhere will have a way to fill that gap, meeting their commitment to help communities at any time, in any place. And that's why we say Beacon is an always-on technology. But one more thing, you don't have to wait to listen to Beacon and to check it out, because today we're happy to announce that Beacon is available to everyone with a smartphone for free through the Apple App Store and through Google Play. And if you live here in the Gainesville-Ocala region, you can also tune in on your radio at 89.1 WUFT HD4. Now, let me close by also expressing a special thank you to everyone at the Florida Division of Emergency Management, Governor DeSantis, the University of Florida for leading the way. Thank you for helping us to make this a reality. You are true pioneers in emergency management. You serve the people of Florida with a great sense of dedication and integrity, and we've witnessed this firsthand this year. You've invested in the future by partnering with Futuri, and we're honored and look forward to working arm in arm with you to serve the citizens of Florida and to bring this technology, born in Florida, right here at the University of Florida, to every other state in our great union. Thank you.
Right. Our last speaker definitely needs no introduction here to the Gainesville area, but Craig Fugate is, a pioneer in emergency management, and some people know this. My very first stint in emergency management, I was deployed as a planned section chief to Hurricane Katrina in Picayune, Mississippi, Pearl River County, and I was deployed on the former administrator's behalf. I am delighted to have Craig here today. He's been a mentor to me in my young career, and now even as I get in my older career, I still listen to him. He called me 6-7 years ago, and he says, "Kevin, we got to get FPRIN, we got to engage it, we got to get there." And it wasn't until he told me a stat that, again, I think will answer a question that may come up. Why radio? Why do we use radio? Radio is a thing of the past. In the history of the state of Florida, and I'm sorry if I'm stealing your thunder, Craig, but I love this point. In the state of Florida, we have never lost a radio broadcast tower with all of the storms that have hit here. It's always been on. It's always been there. With that being said, a friend of mine, Craig Fugate, please come and give us some information.
Thank you, Kevin. Anytime somebody talks about AI in some application, I kind of like glaze over because everything's using AI, right? So I want to go to why. Hurricane Andrew struck in 1992. The survivors of that storm that lived south of 122nd Street described it this way. All they knew was as far as they could walk and as far as they could see. There was no information coming in. And over time, we've been working to figure out how to get information to the public. But the one thing that was pretty common, as Kevin said, radio survived. Radio survived Hurricane Michael, a Cat 5 hurricane. The NPR public radio station at the Golf College was out there, was still on the air. So we went back to what will be there on the worst day when people need information about where to get help, what to do, where resources are. In Miami, we were using colored balloons with helium to try to identify locations. We've come a lot further than that. But even if radio is up, you still got to have content. Without content, they're repeating everything they knew prior to losing communications. And I had the honor to serve here in Alachua County as emergency manager. I'm proud to see the Alachua County team as part of this. But starting at Alachua County to the state of Florida to getting to FEMA, the thing that I kept seeing was we're generating a lot of information. And used to be, it was easy to get it into the news feeds. The problem, as was pointed out, radio will be there. But the ability to take content and get it on the air was going away. And I saw this in Florida, particularly in our rural counties. I also saw how media markets, and Kevin's very well aware of this. When he was up in Jacksonville, whatever happened in Duval County made the news. What was happening up in Nassau County got a little piece of it. And so the ability to use radio stations, and again, we're building us upon our public radio infrastructure, but this is available to any station during the crisis that needs content. So for many small rural stations that may be up and transmitting, we'll do something we've never been able to do before. We can take the information from a small county like Union County, who has a small shop, but they need to tell people where the shelters are. And they're not going to get that information out once the internet goes down because we've been using social media, the web page, and when that's down, what's left? It's radio. But the labor it takes to take those shelter lists, get it into a broadcast format, get it read over the air, was multiple steps and personnel that in many cases no longer exist. Beacon takes that process and converts that text into broadcast quality information, then going out of a radio station in minutes versus the time it would take to do this. The other part of this is this does not replace the emergency alert or wireless emergency alerts or iPulse. This complements it. And here's the example. When you get the warning for a boiled water order, it tells you to boil water. Does it tell you how? Almost impossible because we're limited to 2 minutes audio in the emergency alert system and 360 characters in the wireless emergency alerts. So we can tell you you have to boil water, but how does county public health tell you what that means? And that's where Beacon comes in. It complements those warnings by now giving people actionable information about what they need to do. This has been a long time coming. And again, the University of Florida offers us something you find very rare in the world. A university committed to bettering and improving the public safety of our communities with a laboratory and students and researchers to help us craft messages that change outcomes. Because as we saw in too many cases, even when warnings were issued, unless people understood what it meant to them and acted, it didn't change the outcome. Beacon gives us a chance to start changing that outcome. Thank you very much.
So again, I want to thank our partners here at UF and Futuri for this collaboration that's going to allow emergency managers at local, state, and federal level to add another tool in their tool belts to reach more Floridians and visitors in time of need. I think another thing that I would just say is in an era of a lot of information and nobody knows what's right, what's wrong, misinformation, disinformation, true information, accurate information, we can now drive people to a trusted university, state university system, public radio network to get trusted, vetted, verified information straight from the source, whether that's local, state, or federal. And we're excited about that ability to do that. So with that being said, we will take any questions for a few minutes. Anybody? Forrest?
This is a very cool concept, obviously. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking the time and the questions. One of the questions that I have, though, is with broadcast. I've been in the business for 15 years now. You know, the human element, it's important for quality control. If you get something that you know is not real or there's an error in it, you're able to stop yourself from broadcasting it on the air. So who would do quality control when this is AI powered?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And again, if his microphone's not working, who's going to do the quality control on this before it actually goes on air? So all of the information that we're receiving is actually vetted at the local level or the state level or the federal level. It's coming from the Storm Weather Prediction Center. It's coming from the local National Weather Service office. So again, as that material is vetted at the local level, whatever that is for that individual agency, they have to make it as true and correct before they put it out in as Craig says, either an iPause message, an emergency alert message, or even as they put their data streams into the actual watches and warnings. So the human level comes at the agency level before it then gets uploaded into this. So that's a great question, and we still have human eyes on it before it ever goes into the system. Anyone else? All right.
And so there's adoption from like a rural county like Levy County, Hernando County. They know about the system now, and they're like, we can't wait for it to start, or they're set to go?
So again, the question was, the rural counties, are the counties aware of this system, or are they aware it's coming out? Yes, they are. And we are going to be doing trainings on this for all of the, for all counties and all cities for the rollout. It starts with this announcement today, and then we'll continue to provide training for them as we move throughout the year, as we're statutorily mandated to do anyway. This is yet another tool in the toolbox that we will continue to provide continuous training on. And yes, they are aware of it. And yes, they are looking forward to this. There are some situations, and I'll give an example. There's a partnership today between Leon County Emergency Management, the City of Tallahassee Emergency Management, and Florida State University, and they take their data and put it onto the airwaves in a more traditional format. This is now going to be able to automate that. So in some cases, some of this is being done in a more, you know, as Forrest said, a more human interaction where we take maybe hours to get it on the radio. This is going to cut that down to minutes. So they are looking forward to this. And it gives everybody in a listening area their bite at the apple to get their information on the air. So again, trusted source, go to the dedicated channel, wait for your county, your city to come up. So we're really excited about that. All right, Forrest, to follow up, go ahead.
What's the timeline for full deployment? 67 counties, obviously you're starting here in Alachua, but where do you want to be and what's kind of the idea?
Yeah, so what we've been able to do to this point started with some disaster funding as well as an appropriation by the House and Senate that we're in the current year of doing that. It's my understanding that there will be another appropriation request from the universities and the private sector to add on to this. So again, that'll be the will of the legislature. But again, this is a first of its kind, national best leading, and again, I know in my heart of hearts that we're going to save people's lives by getting that message to people faster, getting to a trusted source that has been vetted by, again, local, state, and federal government. Right. I appreciate you guys coming out for us, or did we have another question?
There was
online?
just one more question online from Tom Hudson. Is Beacon only to be used for public safety messaging? What other advisory messaging may be disseminated, and who or what agency makes those decisions?
So in the question of who makes the decision, is it just public safety messaging? And I'm going to share a little insight probably. When Craig and I talked about this originally, this could go all the way down to a local county, Alachua County, from their sheriff saying there is a major crash on 41 and the road's going to be blocked for the next 3 hours. We could get that hyper local with that if that's what they want to do in Alachua County, the city of Gainesville, Alachua County Emergency Management. So I think what we are talking about here is, while it's public safety centric, we want people to know that it's a part of the public radio emergency network, focusing on that word emergency. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're not just advising people of response issues and preparedness, recovery issues, but we want to use this as a preparedness tool. As we get ready to go into severe weather season, which is quickly coming up on us, what are things that people need to know about severe weather, tornadoes, severe thunderstorms? Then we roll into wildfire season. We will have elements that we put out there for preparedness of wildfire season, and what does it mean to be in a rural area or an urban interface, if you will, how to actually cut the brush back away from your house. I'm sure we're going to have things on what are the healthy plants that are fire retardant versus fire fuel. So these are all things that we're planning on doing. Again, our goal is to most likely stay inside of that emergency vein. I don't ever want to see this, and I think everybody up here agrees, we never want to see this become a political tool. We're not going to be doing campaign advertising and things like that. We are really, really want to focus on getting people prepared for, responding to, and mitigating against disasters of all kinds in the state of Florida. There's a question behind you, Stephanie.
I'm curious about the rollout of ATSC3 and TV. Are you guys making any plans to kind of move into that type of media space? And, the integration of maybe geofencing through ATSC3 in terms of like locality. Any thought in terms of that technically?
So I'm going to turn in this direction. Who's the subject matter expert on that? Craig, either one of you. Come on up.
The acronym, we generally just call it Next Generation Television for all the non-technical people. It's going to be the ability to basically have one-way internet going to your TV over the air, not over cable, not if the internet's working, not over cellular data. It gives us tremendous capability to put out a lot more information. So here's my take on that. And this is why it's so cool to be here at University of Florida. Right now, we cannot make most of our systems ADA compliant because all we can do is provide text messaging for the deaf or hard of hearing. But if you're in that community, you know that American Sign Language is your first language. And we know from behavioralists that in a crisis, you always go to your mother tongue. Think about what we could do with doing an avatar to sign the messages automatically. That is a capability Next Generation Television has. The other capability it has, we have to send out sequentially information. So we have to pick the language that we can send out first and send out second. Next Generation Television, we can send out 100 languages at one time. You select on the TV what's your mother tongue to get that information. So we are definitely looking, and this is one of the things where Futuri brings a lot of expertise, is how do we apply graphics and tools in that area? And again, this is why anchoring here at University of Florida is so critical. There will be capabilities that we have never done. Think about it. Our current emergency alert system in WIA is nothing but a text message, an audio message, and a text crawl, right? We got artificial intelligence and graphics and everything else. How do we automate that? But more importantly, rather than just putting a lot of pictures and a lot of information up there, how do we make sure it's the information to help people understand what it means to them so they act and change the outcome? And that requires more research than we've ever had before. And by partnering with University of Florida, it gives us that resource of not only how to do it, but how to make it effective and continue to improve that process. So it's a great question. This is just starting with radio, but it's not stopping at radio.
Dean, you want to add to that a little bit?
Just on a general
Okay.
point. Oops, here we go. Just the fact that, next generation television is a huge opportunity for us at the university level for research, for all kinds of data to really understand how people interface with these kinds of communications. And when this was started, I remember it was in this room that Randy Wright and I had a conversation about this thing he called Beacon. And I said, but what's the opportunity for the scholars? And he explained to me that this is a fount of information. And it was going to be something that was going to be really transformative in terms of our ability to understand how people, like people who are in the deaf community, can get good information. And so it's such a big opportunity. And again, very thankful to you for your part in it.
Glad to do it. All right. Well, we want to thank you again for coming. Appreciate your time, and look forward to more, next generation stuff coming from the Florida Division of Emergency Management and University of Florida. Thank you.